Welcome to this deep dive, tailored just for you, the learner. We're diving straight into something, well, incredibly common, yet often misunderstood. That nagging feeling of guilt when we even think about taking a break. It's like our minds are allergic to stillness almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have some fascinating material that really unpacks why this happens and, maybe more importantly, how you can begin to shift that perspective.
Okay.
Our goal today is really to help you find a way to truly recharge, without that internal critic constantly chiming in.
Right, that inner voice. Let's maybe picture a Saturday morning, sun's out, maybe you slept in a bit,
Okay.
and for a moment, there's this genuine sense of peace.
Yeah.
And then, almost like clockwork, that voice pipes up. Shouldn't you be doing something? All those tasks piling up.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just going to waste the day.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
That sense of guilt can be so immediate, can't it? It just turns a potential moment of rest into something anxious. Does that resonate with your experience, maybe?
Oh, definitely. It's a deeply human conflict, I think. That pull between, needing to replenish and feeling compelled to constantly produce something.
Yeah.
And our culture really reinforces this, doesn't it? This idea that busyness equals worth.
Totally.
You see it everywhere, this relentless pursuit of more the glorification of the grind or the hustle.
Right, the hustle culture.
Exactly. So when you do pause, it can feel like you're, going against the grain somehow, like you're failing.
And what's so interesting is what happens when we consistently ignore that need for rest. Like, think about those times when you've pushed yourself too hard.
Yeah.
Maybe you notice your concentration slipping, or you're more easily irritated, or you just feel physically drained.
Those are signals.
They are signals.
Yeah.
Your body and mind trying to tell you something crucial. But often we tend to override these signals, don't we? Maybe with more coffee or just by pushing through, because stopping feels, well, unacceptable.
Yeah, pushing through is the default for so many.
Yeah.
Consider the story of Alex we looked at. Alex is someone who, on the surface seems to have it all together, a successful career, active social life, family commitment.
Looks great from the outside.
Looks great, but underneath there's this persistent exhaustion. Weekends become just kind of an extension of the work week. And any attempt to actually rest is overshadowed by this guilt, this pattern, appearing to thrive while internally depleted. While it might feel familiar to some listening,
Yeah, I bet it does.
the core question really is, why do we continue this cycle even when we know intellectually that it's just not sustainable?
Right. To really get this, maybe let's shift our focus inward for just a second. Like, bring your attention to your physical sensations right now, just as you're listening.
Okay.
What happens in your body when you imagine actually taking a break? A real guilt-free, intentional pause. Do you notice any tightness, maybe? Jaw, shoulders, maybe a sense of unease in your stomach?
Yeah.
Or even a sort of rebellious thought, like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Whatever you observe, just kind of acknowledge it. There's a lot of information held in these physical responses, isn't there?
Yeah.
They can give us clues about our deeper resistance to rest.
That's so true. And what's fascinating here is that this resistance isn't just random. From a Gestalt perspective, thinking about awareness and the here and now, we see it as connected to what we might call unfinished business.
Unfinished business.
Yeah, those unexamined beliefs, maybe past experiences that have shaped our understanding of ourselves and the world. Like, think about the messages you've absorbed over time. Was productivity always praised above well-being in your family, maybe? Did success at school or work feel like it depended on constant effort?
Right, like you had to earn rest.
Exactly. These early lessons can create a really powerful internal narrative where rest gets equated with, laziness or lack of worth.
And the consequences of consistently ignoring our need for rest, they're significant, aren't they? Burnout isn't just a buzzword.
Not at all.
It's a real state of physiological and psychological depletion. It can weaken your immune system, mess with your sleep, cloud your thinking.
Yeah, it makes you foggy.
Totally. Emotionally, it can lead to irritability, a sense of detachment, less joy. It impacts your relationships, stifles creativity. It really is like trying to drive a car on empty.
That's a great analogy.
So for you, the learner, listening now, what might be the hidden costs of pushing yourself without enough breaks?
Yeah.
It's worth thinking about.
Definitely. And the alternative isn't just about stopping activity. It's more about cultivating a different kind of presence.
Okay.
It's about allowing yourself to simply be without that constant need to do or achieve? What if rest wasn't something you had to earn through hard work?
Yeah.
What if it was just a fundamental state of being that you inherently deserve?
That feels radical, almost.
It does, because it requires a real challenging of those deeply ingrained beliefs we've been talking about.
So we've kind of looked at the surface level guilt around rest, and we've started to dig into some of those deeper reasons for resistance, like avoidance, and those interrupted cycles of contact with our own needs. Remember that little flicker of discomfort you might have felt when you pictured yourself resting?
Yeah.
That's a really significant point of awareness, isn't it?
It really is. And what stands out here is how often we override those initial signals our bodies give us. The signals that say, hey, slow down.
Right.
It's like, that first moment you feel thirsty, but you ignore it until you're absolutely parched.
Yeah, I do that.
Suppressing the urge to rest creates a similar kind of internal deficit.
Yeah.
And it's often fueled by a fear of judgment, worrying what others will think, that they'll see us as lazy if we're not constantly busy.
We talk about introjection before, this unconscious taking in of beliefs, like that idea that rest equals laziness.
Exactly. These beliefs can operate almost silently, really influencing how we treat ourselves. Think about someone like Sarah, the freelancer we considered, who feels this restless guilt on her days off.
Right.
Even when she has the time to relax, she feels this underlying pressure to be doing something productive just to justify her downtime. It really highlights how this inability to rest can be linked to a deep-seated need to, prove our worth constantly.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, we can see how avoidance plays a role too, can't we?
How so?
Well, when we feel that discomfort of stillness, we might reach for distractions, endless scrolling on our phones, finding more tasks to do.
Ah, yeah. Anything but sitting with the feeling.
Exactly. Anything not to sit with that feeling. But these temporary escapes, they actually reinforce the idea that rest is something to be avoided, not embraced.
Right. So to break this cycle, we need to be willing to gently turn towards that discomfort, not run from it.
Which brings us back to that idea of body awareness as a tool.
Crucial.
Those physical sensations, the tension, the fatigue, they're not just random annoyances, they're valuable information. Right?
Absolutely valuable. Remember that suggestion to just scan your body and ask yourself, right now in this moment, what do I need? This practice, really rooted in that here and now focus, can help us reconnect with those initial signals of needing rest that we so often just ignore.
This makes me think about that internal voice, the inner critic.
Ah, yes. The critic.
We've sort of considered it as a part of ourselves that often carries old hurts or anxieties.
Yeah, often protective in a misguided way.
Right. Like maybe that critic is afraid that if you rest, you'll be seen as inadequate or you'll fall behind or something bad will happen.
Fear-based.
So engaging in a kind of gentle dialogue with this inner critic, trying to understand its fears around rest. That could be a powerful step, couldn't it? What is it really afraid of?
That's a fantastic point, understanding the fear behind the criticism.
And finally, we touched on projection, where we might attribute our own feelings about rest, like feeling lazy, onto other people.
Yeah, assuming others judge us the way we judge ourselves.
Exactly. That thought, they'll probably think I'm just slacking off if I take a break. Might actually just reflect your own internal judgment. So challenging those assumptions, asking yourself, is that really true? Would they actually think that? That can be really eye-opening.
It really can. Ultimately, this whole exploration is about developing a deeper understanding of yourself, the learner. Understanding those kind of invisible forces that influence your choices around rest.
Yeah.
It's about discovering new ways of responding to those internal pressures and moving towards a more authentic way of being. A way where rest isn't seen as an indulgence, but as fundamental support for your growth.
Our aim, really, has been to encourage you to maybe see rest not as a sign of weakness, but as an act of self-respect. Maybe even power.
I like that. Power.
Yeah. Like a clear message that your well-being matters.
Yeah.
Choosing to rest, especially when that inner critic is shouting, takes courage, doesn't it?
It takes real courage.
It's about trusting in its ability to renew and restore you. Something we saw reflected in Alex's journey, trying to find that balance.
And recognizing and beginning to make peace with that unfinished business. We mentioned those old wounds, unmet needs. That's a crucial part of this process.
So it's not just about flissing rest.
No, not at all. Even small gestures of honoring your fatigue, like just taking a few deep breaths or stepping away from your desk for 5 minutes. that can start to close those cycles of interruption
Okay.
and allow for both emotional and mental repair. Little steps.
And the benefits of prioritizing rest, they go beyond just us, right? It has a
Sure.
ripple effect.
Absolutely. It positively impacts your relationships. When you're rested, you can show up more present, more patient,
Yeah, less snappy.
less snappy, and you're modeling healthy boundaries for others too, which is huge.
That's a great point.
So maybe consider the stories you tell yourself about rest. Are they narratives rooted in fear? Fear of not doing enough, fear of what others might think. Or can you begin to rewrite those stories, maybe with a sense of self-compassion, self-care?
Rewriting the narrative.
Yeah, you have
Okay.
the power to redefine what rest looks like for you. As an expression of your highest self, maybe? Recognizing it as an ongoing practice, not just a one-time fix.
Yeah, not a reward, but a practice.
Yeah.
So here's a final thought for you, the learner, to really sit with.
Okay.
What if rest isn't just the absence of activity or the opposite of productivity?
Mhm.
But what if it's actually a vital ingredient for meaningful action and productivity?
The foundation.
My foundation. What truly impactful things might emerge, not from that constant striving, but actually from those moments of stillness and genuine renewal.
That's a powerful question to ponder.
It is. This is definitely a continuous exploration, isn't it? And we really encourage you to keep delving into this within the quiet spaces of your own life.